So yes, I did host this tournament where the community chose which the best Asher Warriors in PvE. I already did a weapons-based one. We could check that video out. But they led off with the heavy-based ones. Cragblade was best one here, which is probably the correct play. 10% more stance damage and 15% more physical damage with a buff is always nice. Barbaric Roar is just outclassed by Braggart's Roar. Ground Slam is outclassed by Horrorloo's Earthshaker. And Stamp Sweep is pretty outclassed by Stamp Uppercut. But all are pretty decent options still. Wild Strikes winning this one is the correct play. As I was saying, Warcry, Earthshaker, they're outclassed by the other options. And Stamp Uppercut is pretty decent, but Wild Strikes is just built different. Like infinite hype realm, you get like very cheap FP cost. And you get follow-up attacks as well that do a bunch of damage. Really good, really solid. Definitely my favorite pairing with like large weapons in general. Lion's Claw weapon, yeah, Lion's Claw winning is definitely the correct play here. It's probably going to end up winning. But yeah, infinite hype rammer, very easy to use, 20 FP, good poise damage as well. Horrorloo's Earthshaker, that's pretty fair. You do get a decent amount of poise damage with this thing. And like it just scales off your strength stat and your strength scaling, so your AR doesn't really matter at all. So you can actually just do as much damage as this thing with a dagger compared to like a colossal weapon. So it's a good option for AoE if you're using like smaller based weapons, and good by way of staggering. Braggart's Roar is probably my favorite roll based weapon skill, but obviously it's not going to win against these two. Troll's Roar just needs a lot more love. It needs to be able to have like buff after you use the roar, because it only just buffs the next attack, which is still decent. But does do decent poise damage though. Could use some love. In terms of the keen based ones, Sword Dance winning. I would probably disagree here. In PvP, I probably would. Pairing it alongside like a Great Axe is still pretty nice, and with Scythes, they're pretty cool. I like Impaling Thrust better though. I don't know why anyone likes Quickstep though. I don't know. Some people probably just, if they're bad at dodging, I guess. I don't know. I guess it's pretty forgiving. For me, the most part, I just always rather have like a damaging based thing or something that can poise break pretty quickly. So I think Impaling Thrust is always a solid option. It's a good way to pair it alongside Thrusting Swords if you actually want to stagger with those, because obviously they don't normally stagger. So I just like Impaling Thrust the best. Pretty quick. Repeating Thrust kind of mid. They're more like PvP options. Unsheath winning is definitely the correct play. I have no idea how Bloodhound Step even got this high. How did Bloodhound Step get 33%? What? It's more for PvP, even though it's been like nerfed multiple times. I really only use Bloodhound Step if you're like going through a swamp, or maybe like certain types of attacks that you're struggling dodging, but it's like very, very niche. Like I don't really know why. Spinning Slash and Beast Roar should get way higher than this. Beast Roar is okay, but I prefer Stormblade because it actually staggers a lot better and you can cast it over and over again. But Beast Roar probably does more damage in one hit because you compare it with the Roar Medallion and the Highland Axe. But yeah, Unsheath winning is definitely the correct play. Very cheap, good poise damage, probably the best pairing with the Katana. Every single time I use the Katana, Unsheath is the play. Double Slash winning here, probably the correct play as well. Piercing Fang is cool. I just like Impaling Thrust better because I'd like to have a quicker based skill. Something that's quick is always nice, but Piercing Fang is still decent. Raptor of the Mist, it's kind of mid, not gonna lie. It just goes into a jumping attack, but you get like some iframes when you jump anyway. So a little bit, depending on the attack. If it did like more damage, like after you got a successful attack off, then like the jump attack just did more damage. That'd be kind of cool. Or something different, who knows. Probably more, like, more poise damage. Phantom Slash winning. I'm not mad about that. I love Phantom Slash. That's kind of cool. You can just use it, like redirect it, hit multiple enemies at once. It's pretty much guaranteed as soon as you click the button. You can dodge into safety and actually have the Phantom go and hit. So it's pretty good. Stormblade is definitely probably the second best one here, because you can just spam it over and over again. And projectiles just cheese the entire game. And it is very quick. And it staggers very well. Storm Stomp and Charge Forth, they're more of a PvP based ones. Royal Nut Resolve, yeah, 80% more damage in your next hit. Like, so many different builds just benefit greatly of using Royal Nut Resolve. Square Off is probably going to be second best here. That's definitely correct. Just like Unsheath, this one's pretty much just used for the straight swords. Every single time you use a straight sword, just use Square Off because it does insane stance damage, staggers very well, decent damage as well, pretty cheap. Storm Assault's more of a PvP, and Vacuum Slice is a decent projectile, but like people are always just gonna go use Blasphemous Blade if you want that type of projectile anyway. But it's still okay. It's a good pairing with like Colossal Swords if you're just lacking a projectile option. Giant Hunt winning, yes, the correct play still. Definitely the correct play. You get 16 FP, you get a ducking animation, plenty of attacks go over your head, good hype armor, extremely good stance damage, you yeet enemies up into the air as well. Yeah, and it's piercing damage as well, so it's obviously really good. Stormcaller over Spinning Strikes is probably the correct play. Stormcaller actually staggers a lot more. You can probably do better DPS with it. Spinning strikes, you get like 0 hyper armor, and you get stuck in that animation. And it's not that good, whereas at least like, you know, and it doesn't even stagger as well. Stormcaller at least staggers. But you do get follow-up attacks with spinning strikes, which is pretty decent. If you just got hyper armor, it'd be like a lot better. It should be like wild strikes, but just for like halberds and polearms. Are you gonna ask Smelly? August, bro. Repeating thrusts is slept on and I won't stand for it. It's good in PvP. In PvE, this is a long animation. I'd rather have like just one poking attack, get in, get out. Which is what Impaling Thrust does. And I think Repeating Thrust actually staggers larger enemies as well. Carrion Grandeur winning as the best magic-based one. I guess, I suppose. I don't like any of these, honestly. I don't like any of these. Spinning Weapon might be pretty cool in terms of like proccing status effects, I guess. But Carrion Grandeur is probably the best one because you have like the highest damage potential. Is pretty nice. Is pretty nice. Glintblade Phalanx. Yeah, this is definitely the best one. Like 40 stance damage like every single time is just beyond insane. Really, really good. Waves of Darkness, probably the second best one here, yeah. Nice pairing with the larger based weapons. Good total overall damage. It staggers pretty well. But yeah, Glintblade Phalanx is built different. Glints of Pebble is like a nice, I don't know, simple to use option, but you'd just rather have this one. And Loretta Slash is okay. You can do some decent damage with it. It's probably more of a PvP option, though. Best fire-based Flaming Strike. Yeah, it's not even close. You get like a very cheap to use like AoE attack, and you get a follow-up attack that does insane damage, good poise, and a buffs the weapon as well. Flame of the Red Mains got nerfed pretty hard. The only purpose that this had was the poise damage, but like now you could probably end up doing more poise damage with Flaming Strike, so yeah. It does have like nice range with this AoE, but you're just always better off using Flaming Strike pretty much. Eruption actually should be higher than Flame of the Red Mains. In my opinion, Eruption is kind of like this Waves of Darkness kind of thing, but just for like fire instead. Kinda. You get like good hyper armor, decent damage, and it leaves like a lava pool in the ground. So decent total overall damage. Black Flame Tornado, yeah, definitely the correct play here. Best Flame Art, Ash of War. It does insane damage. Doesn't really get much hyper armor, but once you get it off, fully charge it, it just shreds like everything in the entire game. It's not even close. Prelate's Charge is decent with like that one specific type of build, like with the Great Stars and Blood Flame Blade and stuff like that, but outside of that, Black Flame Tornado is like good against like every single enemy in the game. It just fucks everything up because Black Flame is good against every boss. Thunderbolt. I would actually put Thunderbolt at the bottom here. Like, it's an okay... I mean, projectiles are nice. And you can spam it over and over, but it doesn't stagger that well. The damage isn't that great. Lightning Ram should definitely be winning here. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why Lightning Ram's at the bottom here. What? Why is Lightning Ram at the bottom? Hello? Lightning Ram just fucks enemies up. It just shreds really, really hard. It does decent damage. Like, it is a bit more risk involved because obviously you have to be right in front of the enemy and you don't get iframes, but it is like a cool ducking animation. I did an entire run with Lightning Ram and it actually was very easy. I probably even prefer Lightning Slash over Thunderbolt because at least like it buffs your weapon. But I guess projectiles are nice. They're all pretty cool. Lightning Ram is probably the blade here. Prayerful Strike, yep, 100% Prayerful Strike is just one of the best ashes in the entire game. Like, every single, like, strength build is just gonna benefit. You don't even need to, like, worry about your faith stat. You don't even need to worry about holy damage at all. It's just a flat 30% buff. So, even if you're not faith, if you just go with a pure strength build, Prayerful Strike is just insane. Sacred Ring of Light is cool, but it's directly outclassed by the Halo Scythe because the Halo Scythe staggers a lot better, goes further, does way more damage. Golden Slam is nice, but like you'd better off just using like, I don't know. I wouldn't really use it much. It's holy damage for a holy based AoE. I don't know. Holy Ground's actually pretty nice though. If you have a shield and you have like a spare slot, just use Holy Ground. You just like have more damage, negation, and health regen while standing inside there. It's nice to have. Golden Veil winning, yep, 100%. You just, no requirements. You can put on any weapons, chuck it on a dagger, 10% more damage, 10% more damage negation for free, basically. Sacred Blade is nice. It's a projectile, so projectiles are obviously going to be really good. And it buffs your weapon, so yeah. It's probably the second best one here. Golden Land is okay as well. It gets some decent total overall damage. The range is pretty nice, although those little darts don't really do as much damage as I probably would like. It's okay though. I vow that Indomitable is like very, very situational. Like extremely situational. Pretty much like has like a bunch of iframes. So I guess like certain types of attacks that you're struggling to dodge maybe. It's pretty good. Okay, now as for the quarterfinals. Golden Veil versus Cragblade. Cragblade won here. Personally, I probably put Cragblade at the bottom on this list. I'm not gonna lie. Golden Veil is definitely better than Crackblade. Like, you use Golden Veil with, like, almost every single build, unless you have a Faith-based build, then you're better off using the spell. But, like, you're just always better off using Golden Veil. And Prayerful Strikes and Wild Strikes I just like a lot. Crackblade is cool if you want to go, like, a Poise-breaking build. But, like, the thing is, 10% more stance damage is not that big of a deal. Like, if you have, like, 27 stance damage with your attack, using Crackblade boosts it to, like, what? 29? 30, basically? It's, like, not that big of a deal. They nerfed it pretty... They shouldn't have nerfed it that much. Because it used to be 20%, then I nerfed it to 10%. But like the best part about it is like the 15% more physical damage, which is cool. But if I just want more damage in my next hit, I'd probably just use the Royal Knight Resolve. You'd have to keep spamming it over and over again, but in most cases, you only really get like one hit in anyway for an opening against these bosses. Hence why I prefer like Royal Knight Resolve a bit better. Crackblade's probably a decent option if you're power stancing though. It's still really good. I just probably prefer the other ones a bit better. Just a little bit better. Lion's Claw. Yeah, I don't know how Thunderbolt even got there to begin with. This is a pretty weak one. Yeah, Lion's Claw should definitely win. I don't know how Sword Dance or Thunderbolt got to the quarterfinals. But yeah, Lion's Claw is definitely the best. Infinite Hyper Armor. Flaming Strike over Unsheath. That's probably the play. It's very simple and easy to use. You can have it on a bunch of different weapons. But Unsheath is still really good. Glintblade Phalanx is amazing. It's probably the correct order as well. This is probably the correct order. Nice. Did I even talk about Double Slash? I don't think I even talked about Double Slash. It's okay, but it's not like my favorite keen-based weapon skill. It's nice, though. Good pairing with the Nagakiba. With, like, larger weapons, I would never use Double Slash. It's way too slow. Because you can put it on things like halberds and stuff, but it's incredibly slow. Giant Hunt winning. Yes, the correct play. I probably prefer Giant Hunt. I think it's my favorite weapon skill in the entire game. I don't know how Carrion Granderer won over the Roller Knight Resolve. That is interesting. They probably saw, like, that one person just make a one-shot build with the Carrion Granderer and was like, oh, cool. It's the best in the game. It's like, no. Still situational. You don't get Hyper Armor with it as well. Roll Knight Resolve is built different. But it still deserves to be in the quarterfinals, though. But yeah, Giant Hunt's probably the best one. Because I'm stupid, I did the quarterfinals and I completely forgot to actually add the Arcane and Cold based ones. So I had to redo those ones. Seppuku ended up winning. What? Seppuku ended up winning. Why? I don't understand. These are the same people that voted for like Reduvia as one of the best weapons in the entire game. And yet Bloodblade is that low. And then they vote for Seppuku. These people probably haven't played the game in like months. Clearly. Clearly. Because Bloodblade is an insane projectile. It can like perform better than Reduvia Bloodblade can. Because it can just do more damage. Consume like half the amount of FP. Less stamina. And if you hit with the weapon pod itself, it just does even more damage and even more blood loss build up. But obviously the difference being is that like the health regen thingy, but it's only on the first cast, so it's not even that big of a deal. And even if you have paired like the Ritual Sword Talisman with the Reduvia, Bloodblade can still outdamage it. So yeah, I don't know. Bloodblade should definitely be the best one here. Bloody Slash is decent. Seppuku got like nerfed pretty hard. That is only really specifically used if you have like high arcane occult infusion builds. And if you like power stancing maybe. And even then, I'd probably just rather have Bloodblade. And probably have like Seppuku on the offhand, I guess. Blood Tax is kind of mid. Doesn't do as good damage as Repeating Thrust, and you get like a little bit of health regen. Kind of mid. Ice Spear running here is definitely the play. I'd probably prefer Chilling Mist over Whole Frost Stomp though, because Whole Frost Stomp got nerfed pretty hard like right at the beginning of the game, right? So I don't know why people still value it. It's like still like a decent AoE, but Chilling Mist, you could just throw that onto any dagger. Just use the Ash of War. Instantly proc Frost on something, and then you have 20% more damage negation, or 20% more damage, basically. So, people should be using Chilling Mist a lot more. Kind of similar to how you use Golden Veil, just throw it on a dagger. Just throw Chilling Mist on a dagger. You just do 20% more damage. But yeah, Ice Spear is definitely the best one. Really good projectile. Decent casting speed. Doesn't go that far, but like the damage and the frost build-up is absolutely insane. And yeah, Spectral Lance, kind of the same thing, but difference being is that Spectral Lance doesn't do as much damage, but it can do like insane poise damage, and it goes really far. You can pair it with the Arrow Reach Talisman and can go even further. The rest are equally as mid. Poisonous Mist, Poison Mothflight, Assassin's Gambit. I don't know why Poisonous Mist doesn't at least boost you up with more physical damage. Like even Seppuku boosts you with more physical damage, albeit it's only like 30 damage, but still. I don't really know much about stealth-based combat, so I guess Assassin's Gambit can get second, I guess. Poison Mothflight and Poisonous Mist definitely need a buff. Very, very mid. Very mid. Did an entire playthrough with Poison Mothflight. It was not fun. It was better than I thought, though. Anyway, The semifinals. Lion's Claw, Seppuku, Flaming Strike, Spectral Lance. Yeah, I don't know how Seppuku even got there to begin with. Should not have been the case. Lion's Claw winning, that's probably fair. Like, it's just probably the easiest one to use, because you could click the button, you're not going to get staggered, has decent range, and you're going to get decent poise damage. It's just simple. It's simple and easy to use. Flaming Strike, getting second best, also equally as good. I probably prefer Spectral Lance over Seppuku, though. Problem with Spectral Lance is that it doesn't do, like, as great a damage, but the fact you have, like, insane range, good poise, and it gets, like, a little bit of tracking as well. So that's nice. Semifinals, okay, Giant Hunt. Yes, I agree. I agree. And Ice Spear of a Crackblade, I agree with that too. Yeah, Giant Hunt's really, really good. I just like it the best one. I don't know. When I have my Greatsword, I just pair it with Giant Hunt. Cool ducking animation, 16 FP, decent poise damage. I think it just does more damage than Lion's Claw as well, because it does like does piercing damage, and it consumes less FP. So I prefer Giant Hunt, I'm not gonna lie. And the total final, the grand final, Lion's Claw ended up winning, which is fair, I guess. It is like the easiest one to use. Like, it's a simple, you click a button and you're guaranteed to get the attack off. I probably prefer Giant Hunt a little bit more, but I'm not mad that Lion's Claw ended up winning. All of these ashes are really good, so overall pretty decent. Some things I disagreed on, but wasn't too bad. It's probably not as bad as the weapons one. I think the only one I'd really disagree with is the blade-based one. Probably the only one. Overall, not too bad though.